So, for most normal people out there, when thinking about children, observation is not a word that comes to mind. Now, in Montessori, so say you're a teacher or a parent, you know this is an important element of being with your child and helping him or her to grow and really enjoying the experience alongside them. But for normal people, it's like, what is this? It's like scientific stuff. Like I'm gonna observe my child like he's a specimen or something. Like what's the deal? So today I just wanted to get into a little bit of what is this observation and why is it important? Like, is it actually helpful to sit there and observe or look closely at children? So to kind of give you a quick practical example of this, so a new friend of mine, she's been a toddler teacher for over 2 decades. She was telling me this story a couple of weeks ago about a child in her classroom who was just yanking at another child's foot. And, this teacher said, "Stop it," or something like that, right? And a moment later, she realized that this little girl was trying to help her friend take her boots off. So if this teacher would have just breathed for a moment before reacting and had just observed the situation, she totally would have seen that. But a lot of us just respond without actually just looking first. And of course, it's not just this teacher, right? Like I've definitely done this through the years. I remember one example years and years ago. I was teaching relatively traditional school. I think it was about 5th or 6th grade class. And I'm up there teaching this history lesson. And I look over and one of the students, like this girl, Sydney, who I actually really liked just a really awesome girl, but she wasn't paying any attention. She's looking down at her binder and actually just drawing with a bunch of markers. I'm thinking, what the heck is this? So I walk over thinking I'm going to catch her in the act, which incidentally is already a ridiculous mindset to have. Like definitely not Montessori, and even forget about Montessori. It's not the right type of mindset we want to have with children. I'm going to catch them. Like that's bad. But anyhow, so I go over there, I walk over, and I'm about to say something when I look down and realize she is taking notes on our discussion. Just for her in her unique way, she just wanted to do it with different colored markers. Now, can you imagine if I would have just started like laying into this girl? I mean, it just would have been such a bad experience. I felt ridiculous and I felt bad. So I don't remember if I talked to her about this afterwards, but whatever the case, if I would have just observed more closely, looked over and said, what is she actually doing? Before jumping to conclusions, I would have had a lot better of a situation there, right? And then kind of I'll give you like a classic example. An infant has a toy and she's trying to scoot herself closer to the toy. And then mom or dad or maybe a friend comes back and goes, "Oh, here you go." And you push the toy closer to the infant. Now, this is an interesting case of like, we think we're helping an infant or a child here. But my question would be, did we observe that this child wanted our help? I mean, infants, they have a real way to tell you they want your help. They'll cry, they'll scream. So if the child is not asking for your help, why did you just decide to give it? So that's another example of if we just sit back, breathe for a moment and observe, maybe we'll realize that infant actually enjoys the struggle. They don't want us just making it easy for them, right? Now, there might be another time when, hey, it's too hard. They actually do want us to push it. But the bottom line is you would be using observation. You would be looking more closely. So today what I want to get through is just being better at observing. So that's what we'll talk about today, observation. The educator Dr. Maria Montessori once said,
"The child developing harmoniously and the adult improving himself at his side make a very exciting and attractive picture."
Welcome to Montessori Education with me, Jesse McCarthy, where we talk raising children and educating students while bettering ourselves right alongside them. So a friend of mine once told a powerful story about her growth as a parent, specifically around getting better at observing her kids. And a few years back, I shared that story during a talk that I was giving, and I want to just start with a clip from that. So here we go. So she posted this. "Sometimes I just need to remember to observe. My almost 3-year-old has been independent in putting herself to bed for over a year. We read 2 books, sing a goodnight song, then she can do whatever she wants in her room until she falls asleep. Tonight, I was feeling rather stressed, and I went into the room after 45 minutes and told her to turn off the light. When I walked in, I found every shirt that both she and her 4-month-old sister Elon owns spread out on the floor. So they share a room. Instead of flying off the handle, because A, that's what I really wanted to do, and B, I had just folded every shirt and put away laundry that morning, I silently observed. Then I calmly asked her what she was doing. I imagine like the strength to be calm in this question. But I calmly asked her what she was doing. I'm showing Elon all of her new shirts so she can pick out her clothes tomorrow. I had just changed out all the 3-month-old clothes for 6-month-old clothes. She then went to the clothes bar and said, I even hung these up on the hangers, Mommy. She was so proud of herself. She was being thoughtful, was trying to help, and was showing me what she thought was important. I've since turned off the light, but I can still hear her opening and closing the dresser and picking out clothes for herself and for her sister. So that's just such a lovely story. Now, kind of looking at it, what did this mom do right? I mean, you just think it's kind of like she took a breath and looked at the situation before responding. She observed. So if we can get good at that, this is the type of outcomes we can have. So the idea here is that we don't want to respond before taking a close look at what's out there with our child, with children in the classroom, etc. And Montessori had a great line about this. And she said, the first step to take in order to become a Montessori teacher or a Montessori parent is to shed omnipotence and to become a joyous observer. End of quote. Now, I put that extra or Montessori parent. And really, for me, it's not even a Montessori teacher or a Montessori parent. It's just a good parent or teacher. The first thing we need to do is shed omnipotence, so we're not the all-powerful being that knows everything immediately. And we have to become a joyous observer. Now, Maria Montessori was a scientist. So she went in with that mindset of, let me just look at the facts first. I'm not going to come in and say, oh, this child likes this, that child likes that. Children love to just play all day. Children love candy. Like, those are all theories that we have. We want to first come in and observe. What are the facts? But of course, this is not always easy to do because we've got our emotional baggage and we got some biases, right? I mean, if you remember the examples I gave with, the teacher saying, oh, she's yanking at that leg. That's what she's thinking. She wasn't observing. Or me with Sydney just thinking, oh, she's not paying attention. Her head is down, so clearly she doesn't care. Or, that classic thing with an infant that, oh, we've got to help them. Let's push it close to them. Well, did that girl ask for your help? We would have seen it very clearly if we just stood back and observed. So there's another Montessori educator that has a great line about this. So she said, and this is Judy Orion, quote, many people, when they're observing young children, react from what they feel about what they see rather than what they see. End of quote. And that's from montessoriguide.org. But I think that's pretty deep right there. I mean, how much of the problems that we have with children just come from us reacting from some of the stuff that we feel we see versus what we actually see? I mean, my friend, the parent that had a little daughter with the clothing, so the daughter's name was Steggy, it's a great example. She had a feeling, oh man, this girl, she just made a mess of this room. She's getting worked up, the parent, but she just breathed and she didn't go on that. But most of us, and even that mom, in other times, we react on what we feel we see. We react on our emotions. So the whole idea of observation is to be as close as possible to a scientist in the moment, in the first thing, and see what's going on, But again, it's not easy. So there is one technique that I found is incredibly helpful, and that is just sitting down and actually doing observations. So now you might be in a car or somewhere listening to this somewhere else, but if you're at home or when you do get home, you can take out a sheet of paper. This is a real practical exercise here. So take out a sheet of paper, write observations at the top of it. Then you're going to take and make a vertical line right down the middle. And on the left, just write what I feel I see. That's kind of like a header on the left. And on the right side, you're going to put what I see. Now, incidentally, this is something that I learned in my Montessori training. And we did dozens, if not hundreds of hours just observing children in classroom using this. So it's helpful. It's really good stuff. But anyway, so You've got your observation sheet. On the left side, now let's take like that mom with Steggy. What I feel I see. She walks into that room. Well, it might be something like, Steggy is trashing this room right now. That's what I feel I see walking into that situation. But what do I actually see? If I get rid of that bias and the emotion first and just say, I'm going to be a scientist here. Let me just look at the situation. This is what we see. Steggy put all the clothes on the floor. You see the difference there? No, I'm not saying the emotion is wrong. Like, I might get worked up. I see all these clothes, but we have to be able to separate out the two so we can really get a sense of what is actually happening here, right? Or take my situation with Sydney, right? What I feel I see is, man, this girl isn't paying any attention to me. Now there's a whole nother drama there with that. Like, why do I need all this attention as a teacher? But that's for another day, right? But here it's just, that's the feeling I have. Sydney isn't paying attention to me. But what do I actually see? If I got that emotion out and just said, okay, I'm going to observe now with kind of the scientific eyes. Well, Sydney is looking down at her binder. Like, that's literally what I see. Now, maybe you could add Sydney is doing something with her markers on the binder, but the point is it's just very factual. You're just writing down what you see. Now, this is so much harder than it seems in the beginning. I mean, I know when I started doing my observations, I was on oh, that boy looks so happy over there. Look at him. He's loving that activity. And I thought that was an observation. Yeah, that's on the left side, what I feel I see, but I didn't write down anything objective about what's going on. So in that case, I might write, wow, I shouldn't say, wow, it's easy even. You see how difficult it is? I would just say, this boy is working with the pink tower. Now, if you don't know what a pink tower is, that's Montessori material, but anyhow, so you'll start to see, man, I make a lot of judgments. I like put out a lot of feelings, which again, I'm not even judging that. Like, that might be all well and good, but we want to be able to separate it from, what do you actually see? What are our actual observations of the world? What does reality look like versus my, take on it all, right? So again, you could keep filling this out. What I feel I see is on the left and what I see is on the right. Now, let's be realistic about this. You've got some drama going on at home or whatever. You're with the kids. You can't go, well, hold on one moment there, child. Let me pull out my observation sheet and then start writing down, right? But as you get better at this, you'll start to be able to do it in your head. So, if you're encountering a situation like maybe what I feel I see, this kid doesn't want to eat the food I'm giving him. Like, that's what I feel I see. We might want to add some adjectives there when you get really worked up. But what do I actually see? My child is not eating the green beans. You see the difference there? Now, what you're going to do about that, again, that's a whole different, talk and so forth and conversation. But the observational point is you need to get past the emotions first, or at least separate out the emotions from the observations, right? That's the beginning stage. So I hope that's a little bit helpful there, that little practical exercise, and then some of the stories to give you a sense of what it looks like in practice. And that's it for observation today. If you want to contact me or connect or even learn more, you can head over to montessorieducation.com. All right. Hope everyone's having a good day today, and adios for now.